This is The Wheel Weaves, a Wheel of Time podcast with no spoilers. Hey everyone, I'm your host Dani, and I'm the first time reader who's going through this series chapter by chapter. And as always, there's no spoilers past the chapter we're covering, and that means it's totally safe for first time readers. I'm joined by my co-host Brett, who's a longtime fan, and he's guiding me through this journey. We'd like to acknowledge and thank our executive producers, Brandy and Kirkwood, Andre the Man in White, Chad Welsh, Sean McGuire, and Rikky Morrisette. And before we get into things today, we just want to remind everyone, all of our fantastic listeners, that if you would like to support us in a different way, we would absolutely love a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. We are currently running a little bit of a giveaway. If you put your Instagram or Twitter handle, make sure you specify which is which, in a 5-star review for us. I will be checking them, picking people at random, and sending you some of our exclusive merchandise as a thank you, because those reviews really do mean so much and help other listeners find us. Now, in this episode, we're talking about chapter 46.
Yeah, this is a weird one.
Of the Fires of Heaven.
It's one chapter.
One chapter.
Yeah, we're trying to pace things, and I guess we're just going to do one chapter and then stop.
And I have to tell you, it's boring.
Oh, no, I was afraid you were going to say that. Okay, but we have to pace it so that the next two are good, and we got to line it up for the end of the book, so...
Right, because there are a few at the end of this book, I think 49 and 50 specifically.
That are a lot of pages.
There are a lot of pages, heavy content.
Yeah.
So I'm told.
Yeah, and we're not interested in doing a 6-hour episode. So.
I'm not. The people might be interested.
Well, we don't have that much time.
I mean, I guess we could have always just done a 2-part episode, but that's essentially what we're doing.
Same thing.
With
so
those
it's just
ones, but anyway, I guess I won't be too hard on this one. There's a lot of good stuff, lots of room for speculations.
We do. I got questions too for you, so.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, and then for today's fun fact, this is actually thanks to you.
Did you take my...
I did.
Suggestion?
Yeah, because I was having a hard time finding something. I usually have 2 chapters to choose content from, and now I've got 1.
Yeah.
And I didn't know what to do, so you were like, hey, do something about thrones.
You tell me.
Yeah, so I got some fun facts about thrones.
Cool.
So if you don't like this one, it's really your fault.
It's my own fault.
Okay.
Unless the information is stupid. No, just kidding.
There's actually also a callback to different fun facts, so it's going to be good. It's going to be good.
Okay.
So first off, history of thrones. So thrones, or seats of power for people who are ruling, are found literally all over the world. But the word throne is from the Greek word thronos, meaning seat or chair, and then earlier derivations of that mean to support. But then early Greek was the term for support of the heavens. So it kind of gives you an insight into what this really means. So in ancient Greek, a thronos was a specific but ordinary type of chair with a footstool that didn't necessarily have any connotation of power. So it wasn't for a king or anything like that. It's been found that some people place these empty thrones in palaces and temples so that the gods could be seated when they wish to be.
Okay.
So a throne is literally a seat for a god.
Just like an empty chair in the corner.
Exactly. That's what's going on here.
Okay.
So I was looking through the history of thrones for all over the place, but a very common theme for thrones, and goes across multiple cultures, are that thrones have that base history in a seat for gods, or a divinely inspired chair of some sort. So it's a very easy step to the next thing, which is a seat for a leader or a ruler or a king, queen, emperor of a land or nation that is because also divinely inspired stuff.
Okay.
Right? Because that's how people view themselves when they lead a country.
Sure.
Okay. Now, a lot of thrones in history are named, so they have names, whether it's just the throne of whoever, but there's also things like the lotus throne, the elephant throne, so on and so forth. But there are a few lion thrones. Remember which is the lion throne in Wheel of Time?
Andor.
Good. Okay, and then there is also...
I was going to say Lannister, but that's the wrong line.
Yeah,
okay.
Okay, but there's also the dragon throne in the real world, which is the throne of the Emperor of China. But that stuff is fun fact information for another time.
Okay.
This one is about the Sun Throne.
Sun Throne.
Because there is, in fact, a Sun Throne. So, the Sun Throne is the imperial throne of Iran, and is named after the radiant sun disk on the headboard. And since the lion and sun were the ancient symbol of kingship in Persia, the idea was that the Shah, or the ruler, was seated on the throne. He symbolized the lion, and the sun symbol behind his back, right, so is the seat of power there. So, the interesting part is about the Sun Throne in the real world is that we did a fun fact about the crown jewels a while back.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. And the country with the most valuable crown jewels in the world is Iran.
That's right.
And the Sun Throne is currently on display with the rest of the crown jewels in Iran.
Okay.
So there you go.
So if you're there and can check that out,
take a pic, send it to us.
go see.
Let us know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know
I don't know if that's allowed, but hey.
All right.
There you go. Sun Throne.
I like that. Good fun fact.
Thanks. That's because of you.
Yeah, cool. Okay, so last time there was a lot going on.
Sure. Yes, you could say that.
Yeah, so we went back and forth between Rand and Matt's perspectives. And we had Matt killing Couladin, but off screen.
But also in his head.
We got the confirmation.
Yeah.
And then we got that the battle ended.
Yeah.
But Rand was going a little crazy and then passed out.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. And then that's where we are now.
It's nice that you said a little crazy.
There was an emphasis.
That's like a not sleeping for days and working way too hard. And then he's just like...
Oh, yeah. Obliterated?
Anyways, obliterated, yeah.
His brain was obliterated. Okay. So, chapter 46, other battles, other weapons. And the chapter symbol is the Aes Sedai symbol.
Yep.
And now, is that for specifically what the Aiel are wearing? That's what I like to think of.
That's a good, thought. I like that.
That's
it's
what
also
I
like
to
the flag of Rand, right?
Oh, yes.
So, I mean, there's that.
I guess he does have a banner man.
Yeah.
Banner man. The one man carrying his banner.
We get a story about that, too. It's pretty tragic.
About the guy?
Yeah, it's oh my God.
Well,
I have to talk about that when we get there.
Welcome to war.
Yeah, I know.
Brett.
Yeah.
Okay. So, we enter an Iran perspective, and we stay in it for the whole chapter.
We do. And it's a pickup from, literally where we left off, so it's great.
With him waking up after being passed out, and he thinks to himself at some point, I actually didn't even write this down, but I think it's so funny because he slept for a night and a morning, and he's like, oh my God, I've wasted so much time.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, Rand, that's a normal amount to sleep.
You need to sleep.
Yeah. And
that's a thing that should happen.
And I would have thought he would have passed out for a couple days.
Yeah.
Knocked out after that healing and after everything that happened.
Yeah. It's kind of funny that you say that about the sleep thing too, because I don't think it's a very good brag if you're like, oh, I don't sleep. Because a person who doesn't sleep, their brain doesn't function very well.
No, it does not.
You literally need to sleep.
There is medical science.
Yeah, I want my ruler to get a healthy, full amount of rest at night.
Brett, you're missing the point. There is so much to do.
Yeah. Okay, side note, in our lives, do you remember that real estate sign?
I never sleep.
The guy's catchphrase is I never sleep. And it's it looks like you haven't slept in a week.
The Rod Stewart guy.
Yeah.
It looks like...
Looks like Rod Stewart. Yeah.
That bench was there.
That was iconic.
For years.
I know.
That one guy's real estate.
And we had that conversation bench. Hey, I want my real estate agent to be functional.
I don't think I'm going to call this guy. That was his catchphrase on the bus bench.
Yeah.
I never sleep.
I never sleep.
Yeah,
and it's oh no.
I do remember that.
Okay.
I wonder if anyone else in Winnipeg remembers that guy.
Maybe.
I don't even remember what his actual name was, but he looked like Rod Stewart.
He did, yeah. Crazy hair and all.
Yeah.
Maybe he listens. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's doing okay.
Yeah. So, Asmodean has left the tent to get Rand's horse.
Yeah.
Because Rand is making the trip into Cairhien now.
Yeah, right now. That's where we left him last chapter. He's like, Asmodean, go get my horse.
And he's like, yes, sir.
Yes.
So, Avienda's pissed off about this, and she just starts berating him for being foolish. He can barely sit up.
Yeah.
He shouldn't be going.
Now, she does say something weird.
Oh.
Did you pick up on the weird thing?
No.
And, he thinks that is weird, too.
Oh.
Because she says, remember your toe, Rand al'Thor. If I can remember Giotto, so can you. And then he's like, that's weird because you'd never forget Giotto.
Yeah, because you're Aiel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're Avienda and you're always, ranting about this stuff. So,
right.
But it's a weird thing.
Okay. Are you going to tell me why that's weird?
No.
Okay.
Of course not. Just tuck it away for a little while.
All right. Well, maybe she feels like she didn't do the right thing by Elaine by sleeping with Rand.
Okay. Now we're onto something there.
Yeah, that's it. That's it, though.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, Rand is also currently naked. And Avienda's like, okay, well, if you want to go, then go naked.
Yeah.
After all, you're the Kara Karn. you shouldn't be concerned about things like clothes.
Well, you know what's funny too? Is that if he was Aiel, he wouldn't care about the clothes.
No.
Aiel don't care.
No.
He could be naked and they would still like follow him.
Yeah.
They might be like, where's your clothes, man?
Yeah. You're going to get sunburnt.
Yeah.
That's what they would care about.
Definitely.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, also don't want my leader to be sunburned.
Right.
But yeah. But Rand does care.
Yeah. And then Avienda says, maybe I'll call in, some of the wise ones and maidens to help you understand.
Yeah.
And so Rand says, call in whoever you want. I'm still going to Cairhien.
Yeah, so these 3 that are mentioned here, Anila, Samara,
the
and
ones
Lamel.
who treat him like a son.
Yeah, but like to the worst degree.
Yeah.
Yeah. But they come back later on in the chapter too.
Yeah. So Avienda says, fine, if you can find your clothes and dress yourself, then I'll go with you.
This is such a funny little sequence.
And then she stretches out super casually and starts sipping her wine. And I do have to say, I love the idea of morning wine.
Oh, yeah.
Especially considering she's
is
been
that
up
allowed?
all night. Yeah, sure.
Why isn't that? Why don't we...
Breakfast wine, it's called a mimosa without the orange juice.
There you go. That's allowed.
Yeah.
Okay.
A little bit of wine. No. A lot of wine.
Get you started for the day.
Splash of orange juice. That's how I like my mimosa.
All right.
Remember how Rand was supposed to be he who comes with brunch?
I wish.
Yeah.
I wish that was how it worked.
That was funny. That was a funny episode we did.
That was maybe the funniest thing you've ever said.
Oh, goodness.
It was really funny.
And I don't remember how about it.
I don't remember how funny it was at the time, but like thinking back.
It's pretty funny.
Okay. Let's keep moving on here because we do have stuff to talk about.
Okay. So Rand starts shuffling around, holding a sheet around himself to find his clothes. And while he's searching, he finds his sword sort of wrapped up in a blanket over there.
It's also so funny because like his entire thought process, like I think this scene is written so well because it's just like you can imagine him shuffling around holding this like sheet
blanket,
so his willy's not, popping out or anything like that.
Yeah.
And then he finds his sword and he's like, I gotta keep that. Then he like puts it under his arm and carries it around while he's still shuffling around. It's just fantastic. And Avienda the whole time is like
sitting on his clothes.
So funny.
It's good. But Avienda says, you don't need that. Couladin is dead. And Rand is surprised that she knows he was planning on running off alone to fight Couladin with the sword.
Yeah. But then he's like, that's not what I was doing.
Yeah, let me tell you though, the first time I read this,
the
writing of it's a little confusing. And she says, you don't need that. Couladin is dead. And then Rand is surprised she knows that. And so I thought to myself, doesn't Avienda know Couladin's dead?
Oh.
Why is Rand surprised Avienda knows Couladin's dead?
Yeah.
She's the one who told him. But then I read a little further into it, and I was like,
it's the whole that was his game plan thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's why he's like, no, that was never my plan. I wasn't trying to do that.
Yeah.
And he's just lying about it.
Yes.
But also the little filler paragraph here, too, where he thinks like, the High Lords sweat when I look at him, and I run the greatest Aiel army in the world, and nations tremble at the Dragon Reborn, and if I can't find my GD clothes, I can't leave this tent.
Yeah.
It's like so funny. Because she's just keeping him here.
I know, it's funny.
Yeah.
And so he finally notices a cuff of his coat sticking out from under Avienda, and I'm like, girl, do better.
Yeah, tuck that in.
Oh, come on. Like you...
Well, she was trying to be like super smooth too, like lying down with the wine and just like kind of covering it up.
Yeah.
But yeah.
While he's shuffling around, like you literally...
You could probably like shove it in there.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he finds his coat. She's been sitting on it the whole time. And after he calls her on it, she lets him have everything and he gets ready to go.
Yeah. So, I mean, she does stick to her word.
Yeah. Rand leaves the tent and Avienda follows, and Asmodean is coming up with Rand's horse, and then we get the story of the new flag bearer guy.
Yeah.
And he's basically lost everyone he's ever known due to the Civil War and now also the Aiel War.
Yeah. I want to highlight this just like because we got to pour one out for Pevin, obviously, but it's an interesting story because it's very similar.
Not for Pevin, for all of Pevin's family.
Well, that too, but it's like,
he's not dead.
One and the same. You can make an argument for,
Yeah, fair, okay.
Okay, so he lost his wife and his sister to the famine, and then his brother and son to the Civil War, and then he fled towards Andor, and that cost him a second son by an Andoran soldier, which is interesting, and a second brother to bandits. And I say it's interesting because we know what Ravine is trying to do right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. ravine is literally trying to move into Cairhien?
Yeah, I know.
Okay, I was just making sure you know that. So
I know. I'm just zoning out. Sorry.
I'm paying homage to the family who's lost. Okay, then returning to Cairhien cost the last son dead by the Shido, and his daughter was carried off when Pevin was left for dead. So this guy has a very similar story to all the, back in the day Aiel that we saw through the Ruidian machine. So if you think about everybody who was like, the Tinkers and the Aiel split off,
yep.
Like it's the same story back and forth where it's like, hey, I lost a brother and son, then another son, then my wife, and then my, all these, and my daughter was carried off by, raiders and all these terrible
killed
things.
Himself because
and I'm the only one left.
Yes.
But it kind of, boils down your core values in the same way because he also has like his 3 core principles. And you can kind of understand why, at that point, as much as I may disagree with their thought process back that what we saw, it's like he has these 3 just like main core beliefs and he's sticking to it.
Oh, you're not going to tell us what they are?
Well, you should know them, but the dragon has been reborn, the last battle is coming, and if he sticks close to Rand, he's going to see his family avenged before the world is destroyed.
There it is.
Okay.
So now Rand gets up on his horse and pulls Aviendha up behind him just to prove a point, and then also there's a thing throughout this entire chapter while they're riding that he's thankful that she's there holding him up.
She's like supporting him.
Yeah.
Yeah, not just emotionally.
No.
Like physically not letting him fall off the horse.
Holding him. And now they take off towards Cairhien, plus a couple hundred maidens are just tagging along.
Yeah.
So as they go through their camp, we learn a little bit about the Shido that are left over here.
Yeah.
And there's about 20,000 prisoners, all just like in clusters of 40 or 50 on all of the hills, each guarded by one single Gaishain. And if...
Like, even if that, like, there's sometimes nobody guarding them.
Right, okay. Yeah. And Rand really doesn't understand how they can just be cool with being prisoners.
Yeah, and that's fair.
And he sort of gets the Giotto thing. He gets that, okay, they're caught, and now they have to serve. But these people followed Couladin, who didn't follow Aiel customs.
Yeah, like literally yesterday, you guys were throwing that all, out the window.
Out the freaking window. And so Rand just, doesn't trust them.
Yeah, and that's, probably a good idea by Rand.
Fair. But they're all just chilling naked on this hill, waiting for whatever happens next.
And I'm going to bring up this point. So maybe there was, a fraction of the... Shido that were just kind of going along with it because that is your family and your clan.
And if they truly believed that
they would have tried running
Couladin
and getting away.
Was the Dragon Reborn.
They would have tried maybe harder to flee.
Everything's changing anyway. That's what the wise ones keep saying. So yeah. So
I'm just saying the ones who maybe didn't so strongly believe in Couladin maybe even allowed themselves to be captured. There might be a degree of that. Because there are only 20,000, and Couladin had a lot more than that.
That's true, 160 or something.
Exactly,
like that.
Yeah.
Okay. Rand does notice something a little bit unusual, though.
Yeah, this is good.
About a quarter of the Aiel are wearing a strip of cloth around their heads as this scarlet headband, and painted on the middle of it is the Aes Sedai symbol.
Yes.
And even some of the Gaishain are wearing it, and they are, not allowed really to wear anything that's not a white robe.
Yes.
So it's weird.
There is a half a page of things going on here.
Yes.
And I want to try and
we're just going to, brush over it and head to Cairhien.
Yeah. I want to try and, maybe make some sense of it for you.
Okay.
As much as we can.
Swasi-man.
Swasi-man. You got it. You nailed that pronunciation.
Nice.
So, first off, for the record, Aviendha...
Sisway-man.
Siswai-aman.
Siswai-aman.
Siswai-aman. Okay. So, first off, Aviendha has no idea what's actually going on with these people with the scarlet headbands. And when she even tries to ask the wise ones, they basically beat her with a stick. So, not happening.
Literally, she gets smacked with a stick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but we do get some hints at what's going on because Rand sees that the Algai de Siswai, we don't know that word, but... that's new for us today, in their cadensor, saw these scarlet headbands and did nothing. And that's in response to seeing the Gaishain having it too. And we know that Gaishain can't basically wear anything they're not allowed to. So the Algai de Siswai in their cadensor. So we know that the Kadinsor is the garb, the outfits
yeah.
of like the warriors, the Aiel. Okay? So
what is Siswai spear?
That's the thing. Exactly. You got it.
Because Siswai, a man, is spear of the dragon.
Exactly. So Algai de Siswai in their Kadinsor would be something, because we don't know what the word Algai means right now.
Yeah.
But you could translate it probably to like warrior of the spear, which would make sense to, talk about the Aiel warriors because they use spears.
Okay.
And then basically the people wearing the scarlet headbands think that the Aiel in general are Siswai Aman, and Rand translates it literally the spear of the dragon.
Right. So like his weapons to use.
Yes, and that's when Asmodean comes up and says that whole thing about like, hey, it's funny because the name heavily implies ownership, and Rand and Lews Therin in his own brain agrees with that thought, where it's like the spears of the dragon and they're owned by Rand.
Okay,
too.
We do know that the men who go to Rhuidean know that the Aiel are the people of the dragon.
That's true too.
And so maybe this is like a more literal translation of that.
Yeah.
And so they just think that, oh, and you know what? Avienda goes into talking about how this may be concerning that whole paying the debt.
Exactly, because the next little...
So it could be connected to all of that.
Yeah, it very much so is from the descriptions of what we get here.
Okay.
Yeah, because Rand talks about like, hey, I noticed that none of the maidens are wearing the headbands. Like everybody, like it's something that 1 in 4 or 5, so about 20 to 25% of all the Aiel now have headbands, because they're saying we as Aiel are the spear of the dragon. We are owned by Rand al'Thor, basically, is what's happening.
Well, yeah. And he won that battle, so...
Yeah. And that's why...
came out of that Wise One meeting.
Possibly, and we don't actually know. But it's weird that none of the main, like 0 women are wearing this headband. So Avienda says, hey, I don't even know what to believe because there's a lot of beliefs right now. And this is where we get that part where it's like, hey, by following Rand, we're making amends for the sin of the ancestors and failing the Aes Sedai. But yeah, there's basically multiple beliefs going on right now. Nobody's really sure what it means for Rand and the Aiel.
Yeah.
And it's very confusing.
Well, and it is interesting, too, that at this point, Rand realizes that Avienda is Aiel and also might be concerned...
about the fate of her people.
about the stuff that Rand revealed about their past.
Yeah, because she didn't know that yet.
No.
She only went through the
first testing.
Yeah, the first part of that, so...
Right. But the wise ones believe what will be, and Avienda includes herself as one of the wise ones.
She does.
So that's interesting now.
Yeah, very much so. Important to note, too, that apparently there's lots of versions of this prophecy of Rhuidean going around, and some of it's getting twisted. So that makes sense, too.
I'm surprised.
I'm very surprised that it wasn't perfectly translated or, reiterated to everybody.
You ever play telephone?
I have.
It's a game of telephone.
Hate the telephone.
Okay, so Rand and Avienda keep moving, and then we get an update on what's happening with our...
you get your...
good old beady-eyed dark friend.
You get some follow-up.
I do.
About our favorite
about
dark
Asandre,
friend.
but not about the other one.
Yeah.
Nothing about Keeley.
Nope.
I said I was going to drop it last time.
Yeah,
I lied.
and you haven't dropped it. So.
I lied. I'm never dropping it. So Moraine is there fussing over the wagons, and we get a mention to the redstone doorframe that's packed under a canvas.
Oh, yeah.
I just like that mention of it. It's still there.
Okay, if you were concerned.
Yep.
Still there.
It's still there.
Cool.
And Kadir is all sweaty, trying to get Moraine to go away, and even Rand is still surprised that he stuck around for so long.
Yes.
About half of the drivers have, quote, slipped away.
Okay, that's a good question.
Since getting out of the waste.
Yeah.
And then we get a mention of how Isandre escaped.
And the maidens nearly tore the wagons apart looking for her when they found out that she escaped.
Yeah, I want to know how he buried body parts without any of the Aiel guards watching. Because that's bold.
It's something to be... he's crafty.
That's gang, mafia stealthy stuff right there.
I agree, but it's one of those things where it's just because they're
Not
bad
that I know
guys...
anything about gangs or the mafia.
But, I assume that they do things like, oh, you're going to swim with the fishes or something.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Make them disappear.
Yeah. But there's
It's
something...
another Scandal reference.
There's something to be said for people who are dark friends. Doesn't mean that they're incompetent at what they do. Right? So
no.
But that's like sometimes when I read through series, it's like, oh, if you're evil, you probably would get caught by doing. But no. It's like he's good at what he does, which is being a not good guy.
Well, I talked about this last time about how there's different like levels of these dark friends.
Yeah.
And there are people who are just like born inherently bad, or maybe something, some trauma happened to them in childhood.
Didn't get enough sleep. Didn't get
enough love and affection, all of the things.
Yeah.
And
who knows?
Yeah, then you get a Leandrin, you get a Kadir, you get the people who were literally grown up, born to be a dark friend.
Crazy.
And then you get the recruits along the way,
Oh man, there's so many different levels there, so.
Yeah. And then you got like Ingtar. People actually requested that I rank all the dark friends from like darkiest dark friends.
Darkiest? Oh my god.
To like lightest dark friends. I don't know. Maybe in a bonus episode.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Yeah. Anyway, so they think she escaped. Obviously never found her body parts.
Yeah.
And some other of his wagon mates.
Well, like some probably did. Do you think? Wait, are you saying that you don't think any of them actually took off? They all got murdered, or is that like a 50-50 deal
I
here?
just don't know how many of them were dark friends, or how many of them were actually just like peddlers.
Yeah. Okay.
Right, and like maybe this wasn't for them, so they left.
Yeah.
Because my whole thing was like, maybe the AO just don't care, and they're like, whatever, and they just like let it happen.
Go. Yeah, absolutely.
But
okay,
I don't know. So, anyways, back to this, because Rand looks at Moraine and hopes that she will be coming with him. But she barely gives him a glance and then turns back to Kadir. And then Rand is all like sad and disappointed and thinks that like, oh, I could really use her help today.
Yeah.
And it's like, how about communication?
Well,
And I also think that Moraine doesn't want to go into Cairhien.
That's true. Okay, because she is from there.
Oh, yeah. I wonder how many stripes she'd have on her dress.
Interesting. Okay.
What rank is Moraine in Cairhien?
She is a Damodred.
That's right.
So, hey.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you think that's why? Or is this like a Moraine being like, you go fly, Rand. You need to spread your wings and do this on your own.
Moraine would never.
Taking off the training wheels.
Oh, yeah, no.
No, it's I don't want to go home where I'm from.
Yes.
This is a high school reunion, and I'm not going.
Yes.
Okay. I feel that.
Yeah,
I get that.
I know.
Okay. I can connect with that thought.
Yeah, I think that everything Moraine does is on purpose, and I think that she's been filling Rand with information and knowledge about the nobles, and I think it's because she knew she never wanted to show her face there.
Gotcha. I love that. That's great. Okay.
But Rand's like disappointed. He's like, I really could have used her help today. But Rand and Aviendha just keep moving along.
Yeah.
And so Rand thinks, trust no one.
He does. This is the one where he's not sure if it's his own thought or if it's Lews Theron's.
But he doesn't really care, because he's like, good thought, good thought.
That's the part I want to talk. Should we care that Rand doesn't care if it's his thought or Lews Theron's thought?
Nah. That's where we're headed anyway. Who cares?
Well, I mean, it's like, what's the separation? What's the separation here?
At this point, there's none.
It's just, okay.
And like, this is what, it's been gradual, and I'm not surprised, so.
I got a question for you at the end of this episode.
Okay.
If I feel like it.
You always say that, but sometimes we don't get to it. So.
Oh, I know. Sometimes I ask it along the way, and then it got covered.
Yeah.
But this one, I wrote it down, and if I feel like it, I'll ask it at the end.
I would like you to ask.
I might not ask.
Oh.
We'll see. We'll see how this.
Leave the people hanging.
We'll see how this conversation goes. They know what I'm gonna ask.
Not the newbies like me.
No, they might know.
Now I don't even know. I don't know what you're talking about. Does it have to do with Lews Theron?
Well, maybe.
Obviously. Okay.
Okay. Let's get there.
So there's also a mention that there are a whole lot of vultures and ravens and flies around, darkening the sky.
Yep.
And this is really just a reminder that there was a full-out war here yesterday.
Oh, yeah.
And the grounds are just like
covered in dead people.
with dead people.
Yep.
So they make it to the gates of Cairhien, and whatever's known about the battle being won and the Aiel rescuing them,
Yeah.
the Cairhien people are still definitely like on edge.
Oh yeah, it's definitely confusing too because like, oh, are these the good Aiel or the bad ones? Like,
right.
I can understand that if people couldn't tell the difference,
And especially now with Rand showing up with 500 maidens like running
towards the gates. Yeah, it's a little bit concerning.
Yeah, and so the officer in charge here recognizes Rand and he calls to make way for the Lord Dragon.
Yeah, he's like the big fancy dude surrounded by maidens. Like, it makes sense.
Yeah.
But it is kind of a funny note because presumably the Aiel can tell each other apart, like clans or septs or societies. Like, we assume that's what's happening. There's got to be some sort of, like, visible distinction. But it's not necessarily like a banner being like...
Yeah, it's definitely not.
Yeah, it's not like a uniform that's a different color or different stripes or, this is my jersey.
Maybe it is something about the, like, Cadinsor.
Yeah.
Like, oh, we wear brown boots, not gray boots.
It totally,
like,
it's got to be something
couldn't
like that.
Figure that out. So.
Or it's like a pattern of camouflage or something or some way.
Yeah.
That's just kind of what I have to envision here.
My buckler is brown. I don't know.
I put little stripies on my buckler. Probably not that.
Probably not that.
Okay.
But I have to tell you, this whole part made me laugh out loud.
Why?
And I said out loud to myself while I was reading.
Like the next part?
No. This part when Rand rides up and they recognize him and they're like, make way for the Lord
Dragon
yeah. Okay.
Into
Cairhien. Because I said to myself, this is quite different from the last time Rand came to Cairhien.
A little bit.
When he was like, have you heard of Lady Selene? And then the asshole at the gate was like, no, go away.
It's like, what about the dude behind you? I know him. And he's like, oh, he's not here right now.
Yeah, I don't know you. Yeah.
He's like, I can see him in the back room.
Yeah, no.
Nope.
Yeah. So I just thought this was like really funny.
Things were different in Cairhien back then.
And things were different for Rand back then.
A little bit.
A lot of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this was when Rand was refusing all of his letters.
Game of Houses, pro move right there.
Yeah. I wonder if the houses that are like there right now.
Yeah. Remember this?
Remember that Rand like refused their letters.
Yeah.
And then if any of them there were at the party.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And it was like Rand.
And it was Rand.
Probably some of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like some of the ladies.
Yeah. Because, the thing that you should think is like, oh, well, they should never have known his real name that first trip into Cairhien. But of course, that was still when Rand was like, I'm Rand al'Thor from the Two Rivers.
Yeah, I know.
And we had a lot of conversations with that, but...
We did.
Now he's Rand al'Thor, the Dragon Reborn.
Even if he'd used a different name, like he's a very standout guy in Cairhien because Cairhien is full of short people.
Basically is what's happening.
And he's like this tall Aiel.
Yeah.
Just like, because everybody turned their heads and was like, I could swear you're Aiel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's great. It's fantastic. Yeah. I love it.
Okay. So that was the last time he was here. Now he's here as a lord.
Yep. A lord. I would go even further than that.
Lord Dragon.
Lord Dragon. Okay.
So Rand is through the gates, and it's a pretty grim sight. There's people sort of crowding in the streets, huddling where they can, jammed all together. Yeah. And people are saying, Lord Dragon, and holding their children up to see Rand.
It's very Game of Thrones-y.
And then some people try to, push past a bit to lay a hand on his foot.
I just think of, like, Daenerys. Right?
Oh,
when people are like trying to get a hand and be like, wow. So.
Oh, yeah, that's true for sure. I actually put in my notes that they're trying to touch him like he's in a boy band in the 90s.
Okay, that's fair too.
And it's just like a screaming mob of teenage girls. The dragon!
These are like the starving peasants who've been under siege for like weeks or whatever it was.
Because they're even trying to like touch Asmodean or...
Yeah, because he looks more... But it's kind of like a surreal experience probably that Rand is going through because, like, he's a farmer, like a year ago in the Two Rivers, and now he's got people who hate him and want to kill him, and then people who worship him like he's a god come to life, right? And he's also supposed to be their savior, but also their destroyer. Like, it's a weird situation. If you really think about what Rand is going through right now in this box, it's crazy.
Yeah, okay. Well, eventually, Myelin? What's this guy's name?
Myelin? I say Myelin because, like...
Myelin.
Yeah.
Shows up.
Milan.
Yeah. Anyway, he shows up. He's one of the High Lords.
He's the main High Lord.
The main High Lord from Tyr.
This is the guy who Rand sent to go, like, be in charge of Cairhien.
All right, so he shows up with his guards, plus a bunch of other lords, and some that Rand recognizes from the Stone of Tyr.
Yes, but keep in mind, these are the lesser lords. These aren't, like, the big dogs.
No, the big dogs are later.
Yes.
Okay. So the maidens let Myelin ride through to see Rand, but exclude the rest of them, and Myelin does not like that that's happening.
Yeah, because now he's, like, in the middle of all the maidens with just Rand, and everybody else, like, all of his guards, they're all outside the circle.
Gone. So he takes a look at Avienda and decides to just ignore her, and then tells Rand, sorry for all these gross peasants. I wasn't aware you were coming into the city now, but if I did, I would have cleared them all out for you.
Yeah.
So you could have had your proper parade.
Yeah, just like, get out of here.
Disgusting.
But keep in mind, Terrans are super classist.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
It's terrible. And then Brown's like, no, I've already had a grand entrance. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
And this is very confusing to Myelin. And he doesn't like Rand at all.
Yeah.
Because he's, one, not a real lord by birth.
That's the only way to do it.
And number two, Rand showing up here means that he's gonna have less power now.
Exactly, because that was what Rand was thinking when he sent Myelin out to Cairhien. It's like, because they were all conspiring, and he was hoping that he could just go away for a bit. And that's why we talked about last time, I think it was. It's like, Rand didn't expect to be back in Cairhien with all these lords who were conspiring against him.
At some point he expected that, though.
Yeah, but not in this scenario. Like, it's a weird scenario.
Did he? Yeah, I wonder what his original actual plan was.
Yeah.
If he was going to head back to Tyr and then call them back, or...
Yeah, and so it's like take their power away by keep moving them around.
Yeah.
But that's the whole thing that Myelin is not happy about, is because he was hoping to properly set himself up here, even for this grand display, so he can position himself so that he's clearly like the big dog, but Rand coming up early.
Shows up and now...
It's ruined.
Yeah. And so Rand and Myelin and everybody head towards the Sun Palace. And now that Rand is traveling with the Terrans, he notices that nobody is cheering.
Yes. The Terrans have been butts.
Yeah.
Big butts.
Big butt heads.
Yeah.
So we also get some definitely, absolutely spontaneous, all glory to the Dragon Reborn and to High Lord Myelin stuff.
Unscripted, yes.
Yeah.
It's great.
Oh, yeah. Totally not planned beforehand.
And then it's also because Myelin's like, oh, yes, yes, of course.
Me too.
Yes.
I'm also included in this. Yes.
Fantastic.
And so, as they head into the Sun Palace, Sulin chooses 20 maidens to follow Rand inside. And is this where those older ladies come in?
Yes. Well, yeah, the 3 that are treating him like a son, they're included in the 20.
Okay.
And Rand wishes they weren't.
Right. But whatever, because Rand has a job to do.
Yep.
This is where we get the other, like, High Lords from Tyr greeting Rand.
Yeah, the other 6 High Lords.
Right.
The big dogs.
The ones who were conspiring against him back in the day.
Correct.
But this is where Rand does some pretty serious Game of Houses stuff.
I love this.
This is not playing the Game of Houses by refusing to acknowledge that you're playing the Game of Houses.
It's a different kind of playing the game.
Yet another evolution.
Yep.
From where Rand started, and now he's here.
Yeah, it's terrific. Plus, apparently, Moiraine has been teaching him stuff like this.
Yeah, she says it's easier to trip a fool than to knock him down.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Cool. So Rand gives Torian and Gayam a nice greeting. And I also, before we move on, Torian, who is Estien's father, is described as...
Potato face Torian.
Potato face.
Yeah.
They're both potato face.
They look the same.
It's a trait he
like
passed
father,
on
like son.
to his son.
His potato face.
Potato face.
Okay.
So they get a nice greeting.
Uh-huh.
He smiles at some other guy.
Yep.
He nods silently at another guy.
Yep.
With
a seemingly significant glance.
Yeah, I wrote that
great.
one down.
Yeah, it's good.
And he pretty much ignores the other 2.
Yes.
That are left over with one flat look.
Yeah, so this is awesome because it doesn't even necessarily matter what he does to who. The fact is that Rand is like playing up significant looks to 4 of them, putting the 2 of them off.
Yeah.
But then also making them think that maybe...
Even the ones who got the nice smiles. And
yeah, they're going to be like, why is he doing this for me?
on the shoulder, on the solid handshake.
Yeah. Like, each individual person isn't going to think that anything is good for them because, like, obviously they don't have any plans with Rand.
Yeah.
But none of the other people know that, so they're going to be suspicious of, like, oh, is he covering by doing it to me because he's actually giving the significant glance to this guy?
Yeah.
It's a fantastic move.
Yeah, he does pretty good. He even thinks Moraine and Tom would be proud of him.
10 out of 10. I'm holding up my my signage here.
It's pretty funny, especially because Asmodean and Avienda are like, what the fuck are you doing?
Oh, yeah.
And Rand's like, I got this, guys. I got it.
It's part of it.
Don't even worry. So now all the lords are off balance, and it's time to go into the Grand Hall of the Sun. And the maidens are moving around Rand in a super tight wall of bodyguards.
Cool thing.
Yeah.
No one can get in.
Yeah.
Yep.
They enter the hall, and some guy does the whole... announcing the Lord Dragon Reborn is coming.
Yes, with my little triangle.
Yeah.
Ding ding ding.
I was picturing like a bugle.
Oh yeah, that too. I like triangles.
Announcing.
Yeah.
You know.
It's fantastic.
Yeah. So there are tons of nobles here right now, and Rand takes notice that there are more Terrans than Rand expected, and the Cairhien are all like at the back of the room.
Yeah, and this is also really important. Because Rand notes that most of the cheers are coming from the front because obviously they're all Terrans. And it does seem like there's way too many Terrans here because it seems like Mylan's been inviting Terrans, like the Lesser Lords, to come on into Cairhien. Which makes sense why the Cairhienans are pissed off because like a bunch of Lesser Lords are going to come in and steal their land.
Well, to be fair, when you're having a civil war because you can't decide on who should rule your land and another... country comes in?
No, Danny, no. You can't just invade countries and take their stuff.
Yeah, well, maybe you can.
No. This is why you're not allowed to run countries either. You don't do it. The fact is, Marlon was sent by Randolph or the Dragon Reborn to help, not to conquer.
Yeah, well, good thing Rand's back, I guess.
Yeah, good thing.
I'm fine with conquering.
Well, that's the thing, is because Rand thinks that Mylan's probably already promised all these Terran lords and ladies, like a bunch of Cairhien estates and manors and stuff, and it just adds to it. And that's why Rand's move is just, like, absolutely killer. It's fantastic.
Yeah. Okay. We get that at the far end of the room is, like, I picture a little stage.
Yeah, definitely.
And the actual Sun Throne.
Yeah.
That's where it is. Rand approaches, starts to climb up the stairs. Avienda and Asmodean are with him. Sulin and the maidens spread out to block the path of any High Lords who try to follow. And then Rand says, "This belongs to someone else. Bring me a comfortable chair."
Yeah, this is like a super awesome killer tactic again because notice that after he says this belongs to someone else.
The Sun Throne.
Well, yeah, it's not a bad reaction from the Terrans because it's not
they
like...
They think it's going to be one of them.
Exactly. He's not saying this doesn't belong to anybody here. It's like, hey, it belongs to somebody.
Yeah.
So everyone's like, ooh, maybe it's me, or whatever.
Well, everyone is a little shocked and confused, though.
A little bit. But it's like not necessarily a bad thing. So again, good move.
Okay. Now, I'm so curious.
About?
Who is it?
Oh, you don't know yet.
Who is it?
Right. I completely forgot you don't know.
Yeah.
It's funny. I didn't forget. I know that you don't know.
Yeah, I don't know at all.
I think that you think you might know.
No, I don't. I actually do not. I've thrown out some wild random guesses.
You have.
But...
Who gets it? Who gets it?
I don't know.
It's Bella.
It's Bella.
A horse.
The horse.
The horse is going to rule.
The horse, of course.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I'm so curious, and I think that in this moment, he's like, this belongs to someone else. And then he's like about to tell everybody his plan.
Okay.
And I think I'm going to find out. That's the only thing that keeps me interested
in the Sun Throne business.
In reading what the hell is happening here.
Yeah.
So I'm going to tell you, by the end of this chapter, I was so annoyed.
Yeah, that you didn't get it.
That I didn't get it.
But don't worry. At some point, you definitely
because
might.
Whoever Rand intends to sit there might not be who actually ends up. So, like, he can be like, this is who is going to sit here, whatever. It's Galad. Sure. He has a right to it.
Sure.
But now I got to go talk to Galad and tell him.
Yeah.
Turns out he's a white cloak. He's not going to sit there.
Can't do it now.
Yeah.
Shoot. What
about his sister? Remember my original guess was Elaine? Maybe it's Elaine. It doesn't make any sense.
When you said his sister, I was like, who?
Galad's sister.
Yeah, no, I got confused. Because I thought you were like...
she refuses to be his sister?
Well, yeah, it was like it's like a half-sister, right?
Yeah.
And you already said that, I think.
Yeah.
But,
because they're gonna because she's good at...
Yeah, but what about...
stuff.
Andor?
Exactly.
What do you mean exactly?
Yeah, she rules both.
Yeah? Is that a thing that you can do?
The Dragon Reborn decides all.
Okay.
So I have no idea. It doesn't even matter. Okay. I don't even care. I just wanted to know because I actually have zero idea and I'm so curious.
Okay.
And I don't get it.
Okay.
So servants come in and bring him this big old fancy chair, but it's like nowhere near comparable to the sun throne.
Yeah, it's so nice and fancy.
Yeah. And Rand sits down and is careful not to let out a sigh because he's he's not
doing good physically right now.
Evian is watching him super closely, and so are the other maidens. They're all still concerned for him. And then we get that apparently Rand and Moiraine have come up with this game plan that Rand is pulling out right now.
Okay.
Now, I don't know if Rand and Moiraine came up with this together or if Rand was passive participant.
And Moiraine was like, this is what you gotta do.
Just blathering at him.
Yeah.
Not really knowing if he was taking it in or not.
Sure.
And then, because I could see Rand not giving Moiraine the satisfaction
of being like, yeah, I'm gonna do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can totally see that. Where he's like, okay, that's something I might do. Mm-hmm. But like actually thinking that he's gonna do it.
He's like, yeah, I'm gonna do that.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why he wanted her there, because secretly it's like mom who annoys you to no end, but you still want
Mom,
her
I'm gonna do it, but
come
just
to your volleyball game. You still want her to come and cheer you on.
Yeah, totally. Okay.
No matter how annoying she is.
It's like,
God, Mom. Get out of my room.
Mom.
No one understands me. That's Rand.
Let's talk about this game plan by Rand and or Moiraine.
Yes. Definitely Moiraine.
And or Rand.
Probably not Rand.
Okay.
But he's executing the plan.
Group project, he's presenting.
He's presenting the group project. Okay. So Rand starts by saying, why do the Cairhien hang back? Terrans came to help, so I want everyone to sort themselves out by rank.
Awesome.
And this is an excellent, if anyone has ever led a professional development session, you always start with an icebreaker.
Okay.
Yeah, if you've ever, taught a new class at the beginning of the year, you do an icebreaker. And this reminds me of the one where you have to line up by height without talking.
Oh, okay.
Or the one where you have to line up by order of your birthdays.
Ooh, without talking to her?
I think that one you get to talk.
Okay.
It's been a while since I've done any of them.
Be like,
but this is totally what this reminds me of, and I laughed a little bit.
That is funny.
Yeah. But good on Rand. Gets the people talking, moving around the room. Yeah. Introducing themselves.
Well, also, the Terrans hate this.
Yeah.
Because they clearly are...
Because they want it to be top.
Yeah, they're above. But this is good because now the Cairhiens are like, okay.
Yeah. And then Rand says, I've noticed banners above Cairhien, and it's good that there are some of Tyr flying, because Tyr brought grain, helped people survive the Shido, so Tyr has honor.
Yeah. That's just giving credit where credit's due, because Tyr has done a good thing so far.
Well, yeah. And
even if it was basically on a death threat from Rand.
Oh, yeah,
being like,
for sure.
You go and help or I'm going to murder you.
Because Rand sent them.
Yeah.
But that's fine. They get their due. He also gets a little bit of due also.
Yeah.
Because there are some dragon banners flying, but there are way too many. So he says, let one banner remain on the highest tower for all to see. Take the rest down and replace them with banners of Cairhien, because after all, this is Cairhien, and it's gonna stay Cairhien. And then all the Cairhienans are very happy about this, dancing and shouting and calling out.
Crazy cheering, yeah.
Because they just think that this is gonna be like new Tyr.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, basically what's happening is the Terrans were moving in thinking this is Tyr 2.0. That's what I called it. But the Cairhien are like, not anymore.
We call it new Tyr.
New Tyr, that's true.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, the Cairhienans are happy.
Yeah, and keep in mind, because we've already talked about it, but Maureen is from Cairhien, and that might be playing a role too.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
But...
she wants her nation to stay independent of Tyr.
And that's fair.
Yeah, no, I agree. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm just saying, like...
they just needed some help.
Yeah.
Yeah. Although, like, 5 minutes ago, I was just saying, conquer the bitch. But, yeah, no.
So, it's all good.
It's all good. So,
again, why you can't lead nations.
I know. So, after this is all done, or maybe I can lead nations.
Can, but shouldn't.
Yeah,
you can.
I would be excellent.
I'll give that to you. You could absolutely lead a nation.
Excellent at
Should you? I don't know. No. Okay.
So, after this is all done... everybody needs to swear their oaths of fealty to Rand.
Yeah, they like straight up line up. This is like Wetlander style.
Yeah.
Not Aiel style.
Well, yes, but it's also very similar, I was going to say, to the Aiel. Like when Rand went to that whole maiden thing to give Aviendha a gift and it was a little bit misconstrued.
Sure.
They had that ceremony where you had to drink a sip of tea.
Yeah, that was different though.
And then give a kiss and then whatever. I get that it's like different, sort of. But
that was like a romantic relationship style.
I know, but every single one of them had to give their blessing.
Yeah.
And this is like every single one of them has to line up to swear fealty.
Okay, I accept that.
It can't just be like Milan and like the other top dog and Cairhien being like, we all do it.
Yeah.
It's
gotta be everybody.
And Rand is like, I don't like this at all, but Maureen said I have to do it.
And then they do the back and forth thing where it's like a Terran, then a Cairhienan, then a Terran, then a Cairhienan, so.
Sure, and this is all part of the plan that Maureen cooked up.
Yep.
And Luce Theron, in Rand's head, agrees that this plan is great.
Yeah, it's like, oh, good. So LTT also has opinions
just like,
now.
I like that just subtly,
just
this
like
entire chapter, LTT is just like kind of there.
Just chilling.
And like aware of everything that's going on.
Okay.
I love that.
Okay, I'm going to ask the question.
He's just hanging out.
I'm going to ask the question after.
You are going to do it?
Because I know it's like we're almost done the chapter. Are we done the chapter?
We are. Almost.
Okay. Let's finish, then I'll ask.
Basically, Rand just thinks that he needs all of their loyalty to make Cairhien secure, which needs to be done before he can move on to Samael.
Yes.
And that's that important tidbit that he does plan on going after Samael.
Yes.
So Rand apparently is way off in his own thoughts because there's this cold light burning in his eyes that's a little bit freaking people out.
He's been sitting on the throne for a while now, getting all these, oaths of fealty and stuff. So,
well, yeah, and he's just running through his own thoughts about how he's going to attack Samael and whatever. And
yeah, I got 2 questions for you. The first one is kind of like about the ending story arc of this book, just because we got more this chapter about Rand thinking now, like, hey, I got to get this Cairhienan thing secure, so then I can go.
Well, the whole Couladin thing wrapped up.
It did, and it
real
maybe
lickety split.
A little bit unexpectedly. I know it was a little bit unexpected, but it's like, hey, Couladin's dead. Cool. He's the only card that's left.
Now what? Yeah.
So now what? Are we going after Samael in this book? We have a little bit of time left.
You know what?
For Robert Jordan, this is lots of time to do stuff.
I do have to make a correction because I think last episode I said there were like 100 pages, and I think there are more than 200 pages.
Yes.
Still.
As of now.
It just seems...
yeah, it's like 200, about 200 pages.
Comparatively, like I have the very thick, like 90s edition old book. And so to have just a little bit left, I'm like, I don't even know how many pages.
Well, it's also funny because like if you think back to the end of some of these books.
10 chapters left.
Yeah, like Eye of the World, Great Hunt. It's like, hey, there's like 4 chapters and it's like so much happens in like 20 pages. It's crazy. Yeah. And here we got like 200 pages. So there is lots of time for things.
10 chapters.
So are we going after, maybe not like defeating, but like making an attempt to go after Samael this book? Rand's got to clean stuff up here in Cairhien.
No,
he's like,
you know what I've been thinking about? How you mentioned that the weaves were coming from the west.
We did get that, yeah.
From where he is. And so that doesn't seem like Ilion to me.
Yeah, we talked about that.
And I know they planted the seeds of doubt around Samael because that's the only one Rand even like knows exists, knows where he is, and like that's it.
Sure.
So
because we have that foursome of Forsaken working together to try and get him, so. I
know. You know what I would like to be in Egwene's head for like 1 second to get one of her like dreams?
Yeah. Just like show me what's going to happen.
Or get some of her predictions based on her regular type dreams.
Yeah.
Because for a while she was having dreams and Rand was in them.
It's like, oh, Rand's fighting a golden bee. I don't know what that's about. And then we could be like, hey, that means he's fighting Samuel.
Yeah. Right? I don't think we'd ever get anything that obvious.
I'm not allowed to write dream sequences.
No, you are not. But, yeah, I really have no idea.
Okay.
I do think we're going to get a little bit of a wrap-up closure with the women in the circus.
Sure.
I think because we know about Saladar...
Yep.
We're gonna head to Saladar.
Okay. Interesting.
And so that'll be cool. I do think we are... oh man, I'll be so upset if we don't go back to Cairhien even for like 1 second.
And when you say Cairhien, do you mean Morgaze?
I mean Morgaze, I mean
because
Ravine.
She's not in...
I know.
Okay.
I know that.
She's not there.
It's all sort of part of the same situation for me.
Yeah.
I need something.
Okay, some sort of closure before the end of the book.
Whether it's a dream thing, whether it's a Lanfear telling Rand something, whether we actually get back to them.
It's going to be especially tough because after this book, we are reading New Spring.
Yes.
So you're not even going to get to continue the story. We got to go back in time. So yeah. If you didn't already know that New Spring is a prequel.
I did, yeah.
Okay, I just want to make sure. It's like,
no,
okay.
I just realized that that's going to be sad.
Yeah.
Well, maybe not. It's okay.
My other question that I'm sure some folks think that I'm going to ask. We've gotten a lot of LTT lately, and we just had you reference LTT as in like a
He's here.
third party in Rand's head.
He's hanging out. Well, Rand referenced him hanging out in Rand's head.
But this is the question, because I remember reading these books, and this is when one of the questions really started popping up. Scale 1 to 10, how real is Luz Theron in Rand's head?
Oh, like a...
Yeah.
Like Rand's making it up situation?
But like, is Luz Theron Telamon? Because this is the issue. We know from what we know of the Wheel of Time is that souls are reborn.
Yeah.
Rand is Luz Theron Telamon. Reborn.
Right.
He is the same soul reborn.
Right.
So this LTT in Rand's head who has opinions and is like offering advice or whatever you want to call it, and Rand's like, well, whatever, it sounds like good advice. How real is it? Like Luz Theron from Age of Legends? Yeah, okay.
I get your question. Yeah.
Okay.
It's him. Because I want it to be.
Sure. Okay.
So that's the prediction. At no point have
when you say it's him, you mean
listen,
it's like...
listen. You asked the question, let me answer.
Okay.
I have been saying, from early on, that Luz Theron somehow needs to show up. My original thing was he's a hero of a horn.
And he's going to teach Rand,
and
version.
I get how that doesn't work.
Sure.
Because Rand is Luz Theron.
Yeah.
So, okay. And when Rand dies, assuming the world isn't overtaken by the shadow.
Yeah. And the Dark One destroys the pattern or whatever.
Yeah, and the threads of the entire Wheel of Time aren't, destroyed.
It's one soul.
Yeah. Then that soul will probably go back to Tel'aran'rhiod and be a hero
It'll be
of
Rand.
Horn.
Yeah.
Whatever. Yeah. And that's probably where Luz Theron was until Rand was born, right? That's the idea.
Yeah.
So my thought has always been that, it's actually Luz Theron in his head.
Okay.
Yeah. It's just because we get the Ilyena stuff.
No, I know.
We get lots of stuff that Rand has, no knowledge of, that people in this time have no knowledge of.
There's no way he could know these things.
He's not just, making it up in, some sort of multiple personality situation.
He's pretending to be...
Or he thinks that Luz Theron is there, but he, actually isn't. It's voices talk to me. It's not that kind of situation.
Okay.
It's actually Luz Theron.
Gotcha.
It's the only thing that makes any sense, and that's what I choose to believe.
Perfect. I love it. I love your firmness in answering that.
Well, yeah. Okay. We also don't
Are you gonna? You can't flip flop right now.
No. I was gonna say we don't get to know who sits on the sun throne, and I'm annoyed.
It's somebody.
That's the last point in my notes.
It's me. I sit on the sun throne.
No.
Me like Rand. Rand's gonna be in a week.
I really do think that with the women going to Saladar, I think there might be some sort of Mogedian something.
Okay, because she's on her way.
You know what I want? Brigida to use the dream ring.
Sure.
Terangriel,
to go back
into Tel'aran'rhiod.
Okay.
And maybe she can be help me, other heroes of the Horn.
Fuse me back in?
Yeah. Yeah. But I do think that that's enough of a wrap up for this.
Yeah.
I'm excited because we are headed out on a road trip.
We are.
I do think that this comes out while we're away.
Interesting. So we are gone right now.
We're gone.
Okay.
We may record one more before we leave. I have to look at the schedule, but the next 2 are long-ass chapters.
Yes, they are.
So...
It's a lot of pages.
I kind of want to save that for the road trip.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
I get it.
But I also just want to read right now.
We got to time it, so it's like, okay.
Yeah, because we leave in, I think it's like 6 days or something, so I don't want to wait that long. I don't know. I don't know what to do. I'll figure it out.
Oh my goodness, okay.
Okay, well, while I think about that, I'm also going to say that before you just become an expert at the game of houses. Again. But except this time a little bit more on purpose.
Yeah.
Zazu and I are both going to say that this is part of the pattern now.
Yeah, it's part of the pattern.
Zazu.
That was so much meowing.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode. The Wheel Weaves is hosted by Dani and Brett, edited by Dani, produced by Dani and Brett with Essen, Passion Socks, Mozyme, Moltude, Benjamin, Michelle O'Brien, Jamie Young, Cody Fouts, Yanis, Megan Smiley, and Jonathan Reese, with music by Audionautics.com. If you're interested in supporting us and the podcast, you can head over to our Patreon page at patreon.com/thewheelweavespodcast. And for all things The Wheel Weaves, like how to get in contact with us, how to find our social media, how to join our Discord, how to send us really cool shot glasses, and for just general information, you can find us at thewheelweavespodcast.com. And as always, please remember to tell a friend about us, leave that 5-star review, and hit that subscribe button. Thanks again for sticking around to the end. This is really part of the pattern now.